Thank you, brother. Please be seated in the presence of the Lord. I'm extremely honored to be here, and I want to appreciate the organizing committee of this National Youth Conference, Reverend Sarah Gonet and her dear husband. Thank you so kindly for the invitation. Let me appreciate my own brother, Charles G. Pan Jr., for nominating me to be part of the speaking list of your occasion. And also my appreciation to all speakers who have spoken and those who are yet to speak. And to our vibrant young people in here, congratulations for taking the bold step to be part of this event. Having this event in the tabernacle of God, in the church of God, speaks a lot. It doesn't only communicate the essence of our existence to come and learn, but it also shows that the foundation of our success depends on God's grace and favor. The foundation of our success depends on God's grace and favor. I've always told people who ask me, Mohammed, what is your secret for growth, or what is your secret for whatever level you have reached? And I told them, there's no secret to success. But if I must share with you a secret to success, I will tell you that secret is God's grace and God's favor. You can do whatever you want to do. You can work the hardest way you can. But I believe that if you don't have the favor of God, you might not be able to succeed. I'll give you an example. There are people who work harder than you are. Think about our disadvantaged youth in the streets. Do you work harder than them? The kind of labor they do, you don't do them. Are they successful? Do they see themselves where they want to be? So while hard work is as important as we can talk about, we need to make sure we understand the importance of God's grace and favor in your success. So that wherever you go, as the previous speaker said, whatever you reach, you'll be able to reference the grace and favor of God. And that's why I've always told people I am a product of God's favor. I don't totally deserve everything I have, but it's because of God's favor I have them. So I also want to recognize two of our team members who are here with me, Dorothy Stanley and Afonso Yanfo, who came along with me to be part of this event. As the previous speaker said, it's a difficult task when I was told to come and speak on employability skills. It's a difficult task for me because this program is held at a church. So I was trying to see how can I connect the spiritual to the physical. And ensure we balance as much as we can so that our success can be complete. As I'll be speaking to you in employability skills, I want you to understand that every man has three key aspects. And that's what the tripartite of man. The tripartite of man states that man has body, man has soul, and man has spirit. All of these three things must work together to ensure your success. If you must be successful, your soul, your spirit, and body must work together. All right? So that you are able to achieve your life goals or your dreams as well. Also, for you to be successful, there are four key things that must also be in place. One, you must be spiritually fit for the journey. You must be physically fit for the journey. You must be emotionally fit, and you must be mentally fit. Spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional. These four things constitute the whole man. And if you must be successful in life, you do not only have to be spiritually fit, you must be physically fit. You must be emotionally fit, and you must be mentally fit. So I'll talk to you on employability skill to suit the purpose of the event. I'll talk to you on CV writing, interview skills, and some etiquette that you need to hold when you are employed. But I will end with some essential skills that you need to be successful. And as much as I do, I will try as much as I can to reference few Bible scriptures that are very critical and emphasize the importance of the many skills I'll be talking about. So, it's important to understand that CV, which is curriculum vitae, plays a significant role in your employment as a young person. As you are graduating from whatever you want to, and you are entering the job market, you need to secure employment. To secure employment, you need to have a CV. A CV is a document that explains who you are, not just your name or basic information, but it communicates your qualification, experience, and your skills that make you suitable for a particular job. A CV is a paper representation of you. An employer will not invite everyone who wants to apply for that job to come and sit like this and ask everyone, who are you, what you can do, tell me what you can do. No. That would be a difficult thing to do. To make a job easy, the employer asks you to send a CV. That CV is a representation of who you are, your qualification, your experiences, and your skills. Whatever you put in that document represents you. Okay? And that document can either sell you to the employer or make the employer to feel you don't fit or you are not qualified for the job. Number 2, interview skills. If you are fortunate to be called for interview after being selected from the pool of applicants during the CV process, this is the most critical moment to prove to the employer that you are suitable for the job. Okay? So interview is an opportunity given you to speak to the employer or the potential employer on why you should be selected for the job. Oftentimes, it involves questioning around your abilities, your skills, your experiences, and what advantage you have or what value you bring to the company or the organization. So there are basic things I will talk about on both CV writing and cover letter and interview skills. Your CV is the first impression that every employer will have. And that CV will determine if you are qualified to move to the next step in the process. Someone often said, which is Charles G. Brown, often said, the CV is not about how much information you put there, but it's about how much information that doesn't need to be there. If you are writing a CV, oftentimes you are confused because you don't know what exactly the employer will make a decision about, whether it's around your education, your experience, or your skills. But you need to make sure you understand what the employers need by reading through the application or the term of reference. As a young employer, one of the challenges I see many employees having, or many job seekers have, Liberians are not patient enough to read. We are not detail-oriented. Most Liberians love to skip instead of being detailed. If you must be successful in a job-seeking pursuit, you have to be detail-oriented. Meaning every word in that TOR is important to your application. If you don't read the application or the call for application properly, you won't apply to suit the employer's need. So if you want to be successful in the job environment, you have to be detail-oriented. Meaning you have to read, and read. Number 2, you have to ensure that your skills align with what the employers are looking for. Your skills must align with what the employers are looking for. Your experience as well must align with what employers are looking for. But as young people, sometimes we don't have the experiences to apply for jobs. Somebody will say, I've not worked before. And the application says 3 years experience, or 4 years experience, or 10 years experience. There is even a fun about it that the employer will put out an application and say, we want a young applicant, 25 years old, and the person must have 30 years experience. That's the fun about it. But oftentimes when you see application, these are some of the things that will fear you from applying. They say they want 5 years experience. Judging very well, you don't even have a single year of work experience. How do you embark on it? I will still encourage you to apply. I will encourage you to apply. That is, you are trying to sell your skills instead of your experience. You don't have an experience in the field, but you have skills that align with the job that they want you to do. So you can sell your skills. For instance, maybe you are a graphic designer and they are looking for someone who will do marketing, who will serve as a marketing officer. You have not served as marketing officer anywhere before. But you have a particular skill that aligns with marketing officer role. That is graphic design. Or you have an ability to manage a social media account. Or you have an ability to create content. So how do you align your skills to the experience that the employer is looking for? So you can sell your skills and say, though I don't have the experience, but I have the skills. I can design graphics. I can develop content. I'm able to communicate effectively. All right? And those are the skills that are important for any marketing officer. So as I conclude on that, I will move to understanding basic interview skills. If you are called to an interview, it's not an opportunity to be happy only. It's an opportunity to start thinking critical. Because everyone who is invited on an interview table, that person has already met the benchmark of the company employment requirements. The fact that you are invited for an interview means that you have met the minimum benchmark for the company's employment requirements. So every other person who is also invited for that interview has the ability to get that job. So it's a competition. That competition is to give you an opportunity to prove to the employer beyond your CV why you are competent for the job. What are some of the key things you need to do? Number one, you need to research about the company. You need to read about the company. What is the company mission and vision? What are their activities? Who are the executive leadership? What are their values? Because when you go at the interview table, these are some of the questions they may ask you. They want to know whether you know the institution you want to work with. You also need to practice some common interview questions. For example, tell me who you are. Tell me why we should employ you, or why are you qualified? Why are you the best person for this job? Tell me a particular time you had this problem and you were able to provide a solution. These are some of the questions they might ask you. What are some of the qualities you have for which the company should employ you? So these are some of the questions you need to think about. You also need to dress appropriately for an interview because you are creating a first impression. Dress modestly specifically for females. Dress modestly so that your presentation or your appearance at the interview will show them that you are a professional person. All right? Also, be confident. Show that gesture of enthusiasm and confidence that you are really, really excited to be there and you are ready to work. Ask any question that you don't have an answer to. Lastly, after the interview, you need to make a follow-up, appreciating them for the time and letting them know you are always open for any other information they may need. Number 3, understanding workplace etiquette. It is one thing to apply for the job. It's also one thing to be invited for an interview, be selected for the job. It's another thing to be professional and maintain that job. So number one, you need to have skills to secure the job, which is getting the job. CV, interviews, and all of those things. When you get the job, you need to sustain the job. That is, you need to perform, do your best as you can to sustain the job. You know, like job it is now, right? So when you get one, you have to sustain it, right? 3, you need to skill on the job. Skill on the job. Meaning, do not be satisfied with the small position they've given you. Skill on the job. What I mean is grow in that job. Meaning you need to learn more, get more experience, perform high so that they could even promote you. Or if they do not promote you, they could increase your salary. Something must be added. There's an added advantage once you are able to perform. That is what we call skilling on the job. So some of the workplace ethic that you need to hold is number 1. You need to be punctual. Punctual. Punctuality is very key. If the company says your working time is 9 a.m., you need to make sure you are punctual. Let me tell you one of the things that can impress any employer. If you are punctual, it shows your commitment to the job. All right? It shows your commitment to the job. So punctuality sets you apart from every other employer in the workplace. Number 2, you need to be professional in your communication. That is, you need to be polite and very respectful when you are communicating with either your boss or even your colleagues as well. You need to listen to take instructions so that you can execute well. Teamwork and collaboration. You are not going to be working alone in the office. You'll be working with other people. I mean, there are some people I've heard say, for me, I'm good at working by myself. I can work alone. I mean, you give me work to do, I will do it. But don't pair me with someone to work. If you do not have the ability to collaborate and work with people, you don't have the ability to work. Because there is no way you'll be employed somewhere and you work alone. You have to work with other people. So that is very key. Also, you need to respect diversity. I know we are in a religious space, but I need to say this because I'm a Christian. But I need to say this because it's important for us. I've seen people battling at workplace about religion. Let me clear. If you go to work, you go to work. If there's any way you can use your skills to convince or to evangelize to other people and win them over, fine. But do not use that as an advantage to create division in the company. That is very important, I must mention, because many of our religious brothers and sisters do not understand these basic things. And at the end of the day, they start to argue with people who are of the opposite religion. I've seen that many, many times. If you are employed in an organization or company where you work with people from other religions, that is not your primary duty to evangelize them. Your primary duty is to do the work you are there for. If you have the ability to evangelize them, do it in a very respectful way and use the grace and the power of God to convince them. I know very well that when it comes to evangelism, your own part is to share the message, but you are not there to convert them. The Spirit of God will do His work. So if you are to evangelize them, don't use that opportunity to discredit their religion. People do not like that. Use the message of God, as I say, preach Jesus, tell them who He is, tell them what He can do, and leave them to make their decision. But don't use that because it's very important. Why, if your boss is of the opposite, you could lose your job. So make sure you respect diversity. All right? Next is, you need to accept feedback. There are many librarians who do not have the ability to accept feedback. While you are talking to them, I already know what to do. I already know what to do. As a young person, whenever you have the opportunity to work, behave as a mentee, even if you know it all. Behave as a mentee. Understand that you are there to learn from others and do the work you are there for. Don't let you know all. Even if you know it, submit yourself to learning. Submit yourself to learning. Get feedback. Sometimes the feedback might not be positive. Get it. It's okay. People who accept feedback tend to grow more than the other people. Of course. Because the more you receive feedback and improve on your life, the better you become. Next is, you need to adhere to the company policies. Every company has a policy. They will tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. Ensure that you respect the policy. If you can, just try to live it. Another thing I also want to share with you, because we are in a religious cycle, as I said, and I'm also a Christian, this might affect you if you want to secure employment. If there is anything that will interfere with your religious commitment, make sure you communicate that to the employer at the very inception of your employment. I've seen many of our religious brothers struggling with it. They will accept an employment without understanding the commitment that comes with that employment. And later on, when they have a religious commitment, they will just want to leave office and meet that religious commitment. And then the employer will say, no, you need to be at work at this time. Then they will say the employer is a tempter. A temptation. That's not temptation. We misunderstand temptation. Temptation is not. You are your problem. Before accepting the employment, ask the employer, tell him, my commitment is this, my commitment is this, I'm a Christian, I go to church at this time, I leave church at this time. When you accept that, if that is not negotiated, you make a decision to accept the job or reject the job. But now when you accept the job, then you start to leave the job and go on other duties to fulfill that. Then the man say, it can work. That is very important. That is very important. I've seen brothers of my church who come and say, my man, the temptation is too much at my workplace. I say, what's the temptation? You know, we got this church program that we're supposed to go for 3-day retreat. And the man say, I can't leave work. How will the man allow you to leave work? The man doesn't know your commitment. You should have communicated that. Because the 3 days going for, the man has to pay you for it. What is it? Are you giving any value in exchange to that, right? So make sure you commit those things before you enter into anything. Because sometimes we are excited to accept the job and forget our other commitments. So make sure you communicate that before you accept any specific job requirement. As I close, I would like to share with you 3 important skills that are important for skilling on the job. As you get a job, how do you skill on that particular job? Right? I would like to share with you on those things quickly. Number 1, learning skills. The ability to learn new skills will help you to improve in your job. There are people who do not have the ability to learn. You know that? You know that? You will tell them one thing over and over, they will not be able to learn it. I was sharing with someone of recent that there is a particular staff we have, and I was sharing with the person. I said, this person has been working with us for over 3 years. For the past 3 years, I have known this brother working with me. I have never said one thing 2 times. I have never said one thing 2 times. Whenever I tell him to do something, I will never repeat myself. I will not follow up with him. He will just deliver the time I want it. He will just deliver the time I want it. The reason why he's performing like that is because he has the ability to learn. He is always seeking knowledge. He's always trying to learn what will help him improve on the job. I've seen Liberians who complain and say, they play a band, nothing happening, I'm not improving, I'm not learning anything. If you think the employer is responsible for you to grow, remove that cap. You are responsible for your own growth. If it requires you to spend your own money and go for training, do it. Because if you leave that job without skills, if you leave that job without qualification, if you get to the next job, how are you going to perform? Maybe the current boss might be flexible with you, but the next boss will not be flexible. So you need to make sure you have what it takes to perform on the job. Critical thinking is very important. Romans 12 verse 2, the NIV version says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Renewing of your mind. One of the major problems we have in Labrador is mentality. We have one mindset for everything. We believe people should do certain things for us, but we should not reciprocate. We believe people should be responsible for us, but we should not be responsible for ourselves and others. That mentality will not help you. And that's why the Bible says, renew your mindset. Because if you remain in that state of thinking, you wouldn't grow. You wouldn't grow. Communication is very important as well. Let your communication be always full of grace and wisdom. Every time you communicate with your workmate, do you communicate something that will help them? Every time you communicate with your boss, do you share ideas that will help the company? That's how people tend to work with you more. Right? So, in conclusion, developing employability skills in the areas of learning, literacy, use of information, and life skill is important for your success in the job market. These skills not only valuable to you, but it's an asset to the organization you are working for. And that's why some organizations cannot afford to lose certain people because of the value they have. So make sure you work hard, uphold standard, and ensure that you are working to achieve your goals. Lastly, I will leave you with this scripture. In Luke 6 verse 31, the Bible said, do to others as you will have them do to you. If you don't want others to disrespect you, don't do sin. That's how to be successful in the job place. Whatever you want people to do for you, do it for them. The Bible is very clear. If you can reap what you have not sown. The farmer cannot harvest what he has not sown in the ground. If you want to be successful, don't think about how I can be successful. Think about what I can give in order to succeed, not what I can get. Thank you very much.